Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a full solo playthrough of the Old King's Crown. The Old King is dead. Now we alone must stand up to the mysterious simulacrum to prevent its unsettling influence from spreading throughout the kingdom. Now I went ahead and I got everything set up for the solo game. If you'd like to see a detailed step-by-step rundown of how to set up the solo game, please check out my members-only first look video for the Old King's Crown, available for YouTube and Patreon supporters. As you can see, I'm playing as the Uprising faction against our solo opponent, the Simulacrum. And I actually want to get started right away, and I'll explain the rules as I play, just like I always do. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. I'm going to be playing the short game today, which takes 4 rounds. A standard game lasts 5 rounds, and the extended game lasts, yep, you guessed it, 6 rounds. Each round represents a year, so we'll be moving through the seasons starting with spring. This game is very structured, but luckily it is very nicely laid out here on the main board, and we also have these 3 player aids that we can consult. The very first thing we do in spring is bid for turn order to select one of these kingdom cards up here on the Great Road. And we bid using our faction cards. Here is my starting hand of 6 cards. This marker here indicates your current max hand size. And your starting hand always begins with your heir card or like leader card, and then just 5 other random cards. And as you can see, each card has a power number in the upper left corner. That's what we're going to be using for this bid. Personally, I don't mind selecting second here, so I'm just going to do a really low bid. I'm just going to use my 1 power card. The Simulacrum's also going to bid, but they don't use their cards. They use these tokens. So I've shuffled these up. They're just going to take the top one. And technically we're doing this simultaneously, so they'd all be face down, and then we reveal. Okay, so they got a 7 to our 1, so they've won the bid. Now here's why I didn't mind going second. This is the Simulacrum's ambition deck. This deck is going to be responsible for making most decisions that the Simulacrum has to make throughout the game. I just realized I'm going to be saying Simulacrum a lot in this video, so maybe I'll give it a nickname like Sim from now on. Or Crumb. No, Sim. Sim is better. So this is Sim's ambition deck, and it's going to be responsible for making a lot of decisions. Now on the back of the top card here, it's giving you a hint as to what's going to be on the other side. And this is showing that Sim is going to most desire kingdom cards with that cross swords icon on the back. There's basically 3 different suits of kingdom cards, and over here only one of those has that cross swords, and it's not really a card that I want. So that's how I knew I didn't need to fight in order to get first bid. So what we do now is flip over the top ambition card, and the first thing that Sim would try to do is to steal one of my kingdom cards. I'll show you how that works later, but since I don't have a kingdom card, it's going to skip that, and instead it's going to take one. If none of the cards had that cross sword, it would go to its second most desired icon. And if there were multiple cards with the cross sword, it would use the arrow to break the tie. But in this case, there's just one, so it's going to take it. And because both of its spots are empty right now, it's going to use the arrow to decide which one to place it on. And then it places its bidding token on top. From now on, Sim is going to ignore what's on the card, right? It's not going to be able to activate any of the special abilities on there or anything like that. Now Sim gets a special bonus for the kingdom cards that it has. This is something that just Sim gets. It's not something we get to do. So you can take out the Simulacrum player aid, and then right here on the back, it shows what the bonus is based on, what the suit is of the kingdom cards. For the cross swords, it's going to get to take one of its supporters and bring it from the lost pile back to its board. At the start of the game, it has 3 of its supporters on its board, and the rest are in the lost pile. Okay, that's the only card it has, so that's the only bonus it gets. Now we can pick amongst the remaining cards. The one to the left there would let us control turn order not a big deal to me. Not that interested. The middle one's kind of funny. That's the Prototype Simulacrum. This card specifically doesn't work with the Simulacrum. Like, its power would be useless. It's the only card like that, and its theme has been specifically designed to reflect that, because, you know, going up against the real Simulacrum with a Prototype Simulacrum is not a good idea. So that leaves us with the rightmost card, the Innkeeper. I'll explain what its special ability does here in just a second when it makes sense. But what we do when we get a card is we just place it here on our board, and then we take the card that we use to bid with, and that card is now occupying this kingdom card. This card's going to stay here, in a sense protecting this card until this card goes away for some reason. In the future, if Sim has a higher number here when they do their bidding, higher than 1, they can come in and take this card from us. At that point, our faction card would go into the discard pile. We also have the option, if we didn't like any of the kingdom cards there, we could have just taken our faction card back into our hand. So you don't have to take a kingdom card. Now that that's done, we can move our marker. And really, we should refresh the Great Road. We're going to take the rightmost card and discard it, slide everything else to the right, and then refill. If no one had taken a card, we would instead discard the 2 rightmost cards, slide everything to the right, and then refill. Now, as it says there right on the board, we're going to be placing our heralds, and we're going to do this in turn order. For Sim, we just look at the ambition deck, and at the top there, it says Plateau. Here on the main board, we have 3 different regions. We have the Highlands, the Plateau, and the Lowlands. And each of these 3 regions has 2 locations. So for instance, in the Plateau, we have the Harvest Field here, and we have the Battlefield here. When we place our heralds, we're placing them into one of these 6 locations. We know that they're going to place their herald in the Plateau. We then look at the arrow to see if it's going to be in the left location or the right location. In this case, they're placing in the Harvest Field. Now, we can place wherever we want to. I'm thinking of going here to the Wilderness. Now we move on to placing cards. In the multiplayer game, everyone would do this simultaneously. For the solo game, we actually have to do this in turn order. And the idea is we're going to be playing cards to each of these 3 regions in order to try to win the region. We are clashing over these 3 regions. That's the heart of the game. That's the main part of what we're doing. So for Sim here, it's very simple. We just take the top 3 cards of his faction deck. And his faction cards are tiered. So we have the gold tier, the silver tier, and the bronze tier. So once again, we're going to look at the ambition deck. We know he favors the Plateau. So we're going to put his best card in the Plateau. We're then going to put his second best card, the silver, in the Highlands. And then his weakest card, the bronze, in the Lowlands. If he had 2 of the same, like let's say he had 2 golds, you would place the first one you drew first and the second one you drew second. Now we get to play. And so we now have 5 cards left. And I think I really want to win this region up here. So I'm going to play my best card, my heir, up there. I'd prefer if they didn't win this region that has their herald. So I'm going to put my 8 into there. And I'm a little worried about this region, to be honest, for a reason that I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to put my 0 over there. Simple, we're done with that. Now we move down and we get to take our spring actions in turn order. Spring actions have that symbol on them. And for Sim right now, he just has one thing that he can do. He's going to get to place his supporters. But first what he does is he turns over the top card of his scheme deck. Now on the back of that scheme card, you can see there it says Lowlands. And again, that is another hint to us about what might be on that card. In terms of scheming, we think that he's going to focus on the Lowlands. But here's the trick. A quarter of those scheme cards are lying. The back is a bluff. Sim wants us to think that they care about the Lowlands, but it could be a lie. So let's find out. Oh, and it was a lie. Oh no. This is not good. This is not good at all. So now the first thing that we do is we lay down fog. And for that, we need to look at Sim's principal threat. They have pitch black night. And at the bottom of the card, you can see that one wind symbol. That means they're going to be placing out one fog, and it's going to go on the location that's at the top of their scheme card, which in this case is the Highlands. The scheme fooled us into thinking that it was going to be placed in the lowlands, and that's why I kind of abandoned this region. But no, they're now going to the one where I really wanted to win, so this is not good. Every location where there's fog, that's where the threat is going to take place. And so we can see that this threat is saying that if there's one or more active player cards or faction cards in the regions with fog, the player must move one of their cards from each region with fog to the lost pile. Now the symbol in front of that is the autumn symbol, so that's not going to happen until autumn. But that's a big problem because we put our heir here. We do not want them to go into the lost pile. Luckily, I have a solution for that. You'll see that in a second. Now, the next thing that they do with their scheme is we look to see which regions show that little gear symbol on top. And for this one, it's just the Highlands. So that means that they're going to place all of their supporters into that region. In this case, they have 4. Now, unlike the heralds, these are actually in the region, not in a single location. And if the card had showed other regions with that symbol, then it would have distributed their supporters to those other regions as well. But in this case, it's just in the Highlands, so everything is going here. And that's bad because each of those supporters is giving it a +1 strength into this clash in this region. That is not good. But that's all their spring actions. Now we get to take our spring actions. And we have a bunch of potential spring actions that we could take. I have 5 supporters, and I could place them out as many as I want. I also have a bunch of tactics here that I could use. But first, I want to use my kingdom card, the Innkeeper, because it has that symbol. I can use its spring action, which says, choose a region, look at all face-down cards in that region. You may choose 2 of your face-down cards next to any regions and swap their positions. Well, obviously, I want to look right here. Ooh, okay. So I can see there they have an 8 power, plus this 4. They currently have 12 power here. So I know that I could put 3 of my supporters here, and I could win this. But considering that fog card, I think I want to get this character out. So I'm going to swap the positions of my 0 here. That way I'm pretty well guaranteed to win here, have a fighting chance here, and we'll just lose that one. No big deal. Now that I've used that, I can't use it again this round. Each of these actions is just once per round. I now think I will place some supporters. Let's place maybe 2 supporters in here, or should I put 3 in? How badly do I want to win this? What I could do is I could use this tactic here, false orders. That would let me swap the position of 2 face-down opponent cards. So I could swap the position of these 2, put a bronze here, and put their gold down here. And then I'd have a really good chance of winning. What the heck, I will do that. So when you use a tactic, you flip it over to its exhausted side. You have to use special actions to be able to get those back. And I'm going to flip these. And then I'll actually go like that. Done. I think I'm done taking my spring actions. So now we move on to summer. Summer is the season where we resolve these 3 different clashes. And the order that we resolve them in is determined by the last player in turn order, which in this case is us. So we get to take these markers and decide which region will resolve first, then second, then third. And that decision can matter. In this case, I'm not sure that it does matter. So let's go 1 here, 2 here, and 3 here. And now we just start resolving. So we're going to begin here in the plateau. And as you can see on the board there, the steps of resolving each clash is right there. So the first thing we're going to do is flip over both cards. And we now get to take day actions, right? It's actions that have that little sun symbol. These occur in turn order, but Sim doesn't have any. Again, we ignore everything that are on those kingdom cards. They don't care about that. We do have one here. We have a tactic, safe houses, which we could use, but I don't want to. So we'll skip that. We then would resolve night actions. And technically, these are called night effects because they're not actions that we can decide to take. They're actually effects that would happen automatically. Neither of us have any of those actions, so we'll skip that as well. And now we can go straight to tallying strength. I've got 8 plus 1, 9, and they have 3, so we win. We've won this clash. We now get to take our reward, and the way we do that is we pick one of these 2 locations. So I could either go here to the battlefield and gain 2 influence. Influence in this game is points. Whoever has the most influence at the end of the game wins, so that's a good one to get. But I actually want to go over here to the harvest field. So it shows here that we're going to gain 1 influence. So that's nice. We're on the board. I'll put it down here. And then we're also going to get to take the kingdom's favor, which is this. It goes right there on our board, facing the 3. And this is going to give us access to a little special ability that we have. In the case of the Uprising faction, we get the Spy Network. We'll get to use that spring action up to 3 times, but if in a future clash, someone comes here, wins it, and, Sim were to take that harvest field, then they would get it. And that's it. We flip this over to show that this clash is now over, and we move on to our number 2 clash. Flip the cards. Ooh, this is their 10. This is their big one. And we have our 10, but we got our 2 supporters here, so we're actually at 12 to their 10. Once again, no day actions, no night effects. We can just tally it up. We've won. And now we get to pick between the shrine and the necropolis. The shrine would actually let us move up to 3 cards that are active and or in your hand to the bottom of your deck in any order. That'd be interesting. We could move this 8 to the bottom of our deck. Yeah, I think we should do that because this one is shuffle your discard pile and draw up to 3 cards. Well, we don't have anything in our discard pile. So yeah, we'll definitely go to the shrine. We'll gain an influence. So anytime you win a clash, you're going to at least gain 1 influence. And then we'll get to move up to 3 cards that are active and or in our hand to the bottom of our deck in any order. Now, unfortunately, this isn't active yet. So this would have been a good reason to have this go second and this go last, if I was thinking about that. Then that would have been active, and then I could have used it and taken it away and protected it from getting killed. So there you go. Already making a strategic mistake there. But I could take this one. And then let's check our hand. Do I want either of these to go to the bottom of the deck? Maybe this too. But I might want to keep that also. I'm not going to do my 10, and you'll see why in a little bit. So I think I'll just take this 8 and put it to the bottom. And now up here, the one I kind of abandoned. So there we go, 12 to 0. Once again, no day, no night. They've won. Now, when Sim is deciding which location to, activate after they've won a clash, you just look at the arrow. So they're going over here to the castle. And they don't get the same rewards that we do. So again, you gotta go to your Simulacrum player aid, go to the back, and it'll show right here what reward they get. So for the castle, they're gonna gain 1 influence. They would now go to the council, and I haven't talked about the council yet, but we might have cards or faction markers up there in the council. And what they would do here is look at where we had the most of these hammer icons, in which of the 3 council spots we had the most hammer icons, and they would remove all of them. Right now, we don't have anything up in the council, so they'll skip that. And now they're going to place 2 influence into the council. The way Sim exerts influence on the council is by actually placing these influence tokens rather than cards or anything like that. Okay, so in this case where it hasn't removed any of my pieces, in order to decide what council to place these on, it's going to look at its ambition. It's got those crossed swords. So it's going right there to the Council of Oaths. Now, those happen to be 3 pretty uncomplicated clashes. The clashes can get way more involved than that, you know, with different special abilities and different things. Let me point out a couple of things. First, our Herald, if we win a clash and pick the location where our Herald is, then we'll get a bonus influence. So let's say I won this clash and I picked Wilderness, I would get 1 influence plus 1 influence for my Herald. In addition, there's the Council of Relics. You'll learn more about the council here in a little bit, but if we had some influence up there in the council, we could remove it in order to gain more influence from our Herald. Okay, that's summer over. We now move down here to autumn, and this we resolve in turn order. The first thing Sim is going to do is to activate any of its autumn actions. And it has one there on its threat. We read this earlier, but it says that if 1 or more active player cards is in a region with fog, then the player must move one of their cards from each region with fog to the lost pile. So this is the only region with fog. This guy is going to the lost pile. And now Sim is going to take a govern action. This is the primary way that we get power into the council. So what they're going to do is they're going to take 1 influence token from the reserve, and they're going to look at their ambition again and place 1 in their highest, most desired ambition. Again, it's the crossed sword, so it's going into the Council of Oaths. They would now resolve the Council of Secrets if they had any influence there, which they don't. And now they're going to resolve the Council of Oaths because they do have influence there. For each influence they have there, they're going to get to move one of their supporters from the lost pile to their board. And if they have the most there, then they get to move an additional 1. So that is really bad. They have 3 there, and they have the most, so they're going to get to move 4 supporters. That means they're going to have a lot of extra power in these clashes in the next round. Now, lastly, they get to take a journey action. And for them, it's very simple. They just get 1 lore. Whenever they get 3 lore, they get to take one of their special cards and add it to their deck. I think those are known as Sight of Power cards. Anyway, they're very special, powerful faction cards that you can get by spending lore. Okay, they're done. Now it's our turn, and we get to take all those same actions. We can do a govern action, we can do a journey action, and we can take any of our autumn actions, and we can do those in any order. Now, I have an autumn action on my air card. You can see down here, this is known as a command, and it says rally self. So that means as an autumn action, I can rally this card, which basically just means put it back into your hand. That's a big reason why it's so important not to lose that card. I now want to take a journey action. And I think I'll take a journey action with this card. So basically you play a card, you get lore based on the number of icons that are in the lower right corner. In this case, I'll just get 1. And then normally this card would go into the lost pile. But this card has a special trait here. That symbol means that my librarian is a pathfinder. All that means is that when you use them to take a journey action, rather than going into the lost pile, they go into your discard pile. It can be very hard to get cards out of the lost pile, so having them go into your discard pile is much better. I could now do a govern action, which is simply taking a card, putting it up there in one of the 3 spots, and then you would get sort of power equal to the number of hammers that were on the card. The problem is, the card is stuck up there. So I don't want my heir up there, because then it would be stuck up there. I wouldn't be able to use it for clashes. And my 2 here, it doesn't have any hammers. So unfortunately, I'm not going to really take a govern action this round. There we go. We're done with autumn. We now come over here to winter. Sim has a winter effect that would take place if all of the cards on its site of power are gone. Other than that, there are no winter effects. So now we can just sort of go to cleanup. Any faction cards that are here are put into the discard pile. We get our heralds back. These tokens go back. You take the fog card and the principal threat card, or any other threats that were there, because they could have multiple. You shuffle them up and you put them at the bottom of the fog pile. That deck only has 6 cards in it. You take 3 of their supporters and put them onto the board, adding to whatever they have up there. They're always going to have at least 3. In this case, they have 7, and then this one will just go into the lost pile. Our supporters are going into the lost pile. Not good. You put Sim's ambition card and scheme card at the bottom of their decks. And there we go. We moved to round 2.